Some years ago, I moved back to Colorado from Montana. I'd been up there for 20-some years. Business, my horsehair business, brought me back to Colorado, and I came down here to do a show at a really nice restaurant with a Western gift shop and Western clothing. And the ranch owner's wife had opened this place, and they were carrying my horsehair, so I came down to meet them and see about doing business. And one thing led to another, and I ended up moving out to the Buffalo Ranch and becoming the foreman on that place, the foreman of a one-man crew. So it wasn't much of a title, but it was a heck of a ranch, 15,000 acres and 1,200 buffalo and a feedlot operation. And I've told a story before about a dog I had that saved me from getting mauled to death by a buffalo, but there were some real weird things happened on that ranch over the 9 years that I was there. And it had started about 3 years before I got there, and they blamed it on aliens. Now, I'll say right up front, I never did see an alien or a spaceship, but I saw things that were just absolutely bewildering over the years. And the things that happened there, the buffalo mutilations and everything else, they always started in March and they'd run through October, and then that was it, nothing for the winter. And I think I moved down there in January or February, and I heard a few stories about mutilations and this and that, and kind of took it with a grain of salt. Anyway, I'd been there, oh, I don't know, 3 months maybe, I'm sure it was sometime in March, and had a girlfriend come out from town, and we spent the day riding horses and looking at buffalo and just having a good old time. And we'd gone to bed that night, and it was a nice spring day, you know, spring evening, just beautiful. And we're sound asleep, and sometime in the middle of the night, the most horrific wind hit that house, and lightning flashing so bright you could see the bones in your fingers, and I mean, that wind was howling. I had the bedroom window cracked about that far, but not another window in the house was open for a breeze to flow through. And that wind was blowing big framed artwork off the wall, a set of moose antlers that was nailed to a log wall. And I mean, it was some of the scariest sounds I ever heard. And I didn't know what to do. All I could think was tornado. And I grabbed that gal and rolled out of bed and rolled into a closet. No basement in the house, and I thought this is our only shelter. But I really had any misgivings about surviving it because it was just that horrendous, that wind and the house shaking. I don't know how long it went on, 2, 3, 4 minutes, seemed like an eternity, of course, when that stuff's happening. And then it just quit as fast as it started. Just, I mean, dead calm and no flashing lights. And I jumped up and ran outside, and I don't imagine it took me 3, 4 seconds. I had to jump over artwork and moose horns and everything else that were laying on the floor. I ran out that kitchen window and looked up at the sky, and I could see every star in 360 degrees for 20 miles. Not a cloud in the sky, not a breeze blowing. It was the damnedest thing I'd ever seen. And come morning, first light, I went outside, and where my house sat in the middle of that ranch, it was about a 3-4 acre yard, and we had the buffalo sorting pens, an old barn, the shop where we repaired stuff, in my house. And on either side of that 4-acre yard was an auto gate or a cattle guard, you know, and you had to drive through there to get anywhere else on the ranch. And of course, once a week, the buffalo would come through there and churn it all up, and anybody that'd driven through, you could see their tracks. So I went out there in the morning after that violent windstorm and lightning, and it looked like nobody'd set foot in that yard for 50 years. And I walked over to the first auto gate, and I could see my girlfriend's tire tracks coming in from the night before. And right at that auto gate, they disappeared, and the wind had scoured everything. So I circled the house, and it was about a 300, 400-foot circle, all the way around that house, just blown clean like nobody'd been there in 100 years. So I started paying a little more attention to the stories of the mutilations and things after that. And that was really my first encounter, and I wanted to tell people that story right off the bat. And come on back and tell you some stories of some really bizarre stuff once I found the mutilations and everything else going on.